Hi, my name is Tim Burns. I run this channel which examines the arguments of Kent Hovind. I recently had the chance to email some questions to Kent, and he answered them, so in this series of videos I will be responding to his answers. My ninth question was about Noah's flood, and Hovind's answer was mainly focused on the existence of continent-wide strata, which he believes are best explained by the flood. I'm not going to pretend to have that level of technical knowledge. I'll leave that for the experts to explain. But I'm not even sure it needs to be explained, because Kent Hovind saying something doesn't make it true. In my previous video series, I showed some examples of how sloppy and inadequate Hovind's research is, so I'm not going to assume something is true just because he says it is. I did a lot of Googling just in an effort to find corroboration for his claim, and it all seems to come from one guy, named Andrew Snelling. Just because Andrew Snelling says something doesn't make it true, and just because Kent Hovind repeats something Andrew Snelling said doesn't make it true either. So when Kent Hovind says that continent-wide strata prove Noah's flood, there are two things that need to be established there. That continent-wide strata exist at all, and that a worldwide flood is the best explanation for them. After that, Kent tried to turn things around on me, asking me why I'm against the idea of the flood, and then strongly implied that the reason I would be is because I'm choosing to be willfully ignorant of God's authority to judge his creation. It's funny to go back and compare this to his answer to my first question, where he strenuously denies saying that getting rid of God is the only reason that people argue for evolution. But notice here how he doesn't say, "Are you against the idea of the flood because you really honestly believe it didn't happen?" Or, "Are you against the idea of the flood because that's all you've ever heard?" Nope, he just jumped straight to tacitly accusing me of willful ignorance toward his particular belief system. He doesn't say that that's the only possible reason I could have for this position, but he sure doesn't waste any time talking about the other reasons. I think it would be very easy for impressionable viewers to come away with the idea that it was the only reason someone would doubt the flood. Whether Hovind is giving that wrong idea intentionally or not, I'll leave for you to decide. But I don't want to be accused of dodging the question, so I'll answer it directly as well. I'm against the idea of the flood mainly because I like believing things that are true and consistent with reality. Also, I don't think "because the Bible tells me so" is a good enough reason to claim something as scientific and historical fact. You find it over and over again in all of these creationist sources. People don't believe the Bible because of the scientific evidence. They twist and reinterpret and cherry-pick the scientific evidence because they already believe the Bible. The reason I don't believe it is not because I'm trying to blind myself to God's authority to judge his creation, and that hypothesis doesn't even make sense on the face of it, because there are plenty of people who believe that God has authority to judge his creation without believing that a literal worldwide flood really happened.